All right, you're here with Mike and Mike. Now, if you are interested in real estate, specifically moving to the Chicago suburbs, or what it might look like, right? If you're ready to do it now, if you're ready to do it in 9 years and you're just interested, we have all the information that you're gonna wanna see here and why you should move to some of these specific towns.
Yeah, so check out do's and don'ts of moving to Chicago suburbs. Let's get started.
So you start us off, Mike.
So what do you think would be the first do that, like, if you're a potential first-time home buyer, what do they should do before they consider like going on showings?
I'd say do some research.
Okay.
Do some research. Don't waste anybody's time. Make sure that we know where you're going, that not only you can afford, right, but that you're gonna want to live there, right? So what do you want somebody to do before you take?
So I think one of my recommendations was just maybe to, like, if you're living in a city, you're trying to relocate to the suburbs, our suburban communities are so much different, right? I would recommend like driving out to the suburbs in a different time of a day, right? To see what the traffic patterns are, what you like, where you want to be. One of my past relocation clients, what he did, he rented an Airbnb in a town that he wanted to move for a couple days. So he wanted to check if he wakes up in the morning, how easy it is to get to the train, how easy it is to go get breakfast, where he would go for, like, I don't know, Mariano's or grocery shopping, right?
How do the people treat you?
Yeah, like, you know, get to meet some people in the neighborhood, get to talk to some people, see if he likes the vibe, right? And this is how he was going from a town to a different town. He finally selected one that he felt really comfortable with, right?
Awesome.
So not do only like internet research, but go out there, take a look, drive out to the town, go to a couple restaurants, talk to a lot of people to see if you like the vibe of the current the suburb that you want to move to.
Yeah, if you have that access, absolutely do that. If you don't, we've also come up, and we're going to continue to mention this, with a relocation guide. So if you can't do the physical experience, this is in digital form, which is likely where you will access it, and we'll have links below as well for the access to this. But it's going to show you what the vibe is, what the school system looks like, right?
Yeah, so there's 120 pages of information. So we really invite you to click the link below, register. You're gonna get this in a digital copy. You're gonna be able to see all the information down, school ratings, safety ratings, and there's a big discount section that we negotiate with our vendors and service providers to give you a little bonus so you make the transaction a little bit smoother, a little bit easier, and save you a little bit of money moving forward.
And I like what you said, Mike. I mean, this is a living document. So if you guys don't see something in there that you think would be valuable to you or anybody else that's tuning in and is looking for information, let us know and we'll get it added. But it's a very good start right now. So let's go into some more don'ts.
Right. So I think don'ts is like, don't worry about, you know, starting without a pre-approval, right? Because that's a lot of people are like stressing, like, I don't want to get my credit pulled, but then it's really, really difficult to find out what you can afford and where you want to be, right? So I know you can speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, as a lender, we always have said that the industry is kind of backwards, right? There's nothing sexy about getting the loan. So everybody's looking for real estate first and then seeing if they can qualify for what they like, which is it's one way to do it, right? But you definitely want to get your credit pulled. You definitely want to get your documents together and have a conversation, because getting hundreds of thousands of dollars is going to require a little bit of legwork.
Yeah.
We'll do the heavy lifting, but you want to go ahead, and if there's an opportunity to get a credit score increased in the timeline from like now till when you actually buy, it's going to be cheaper cost of funds.
Yeah, and I think there's like risk-based pricing right now happening with a lot of lenders. So if we can get you prepped for a purchase with 6-7 months and get your score higher, right, over 800 points, you're definitely going to get a better rate, lower monthly payment, right? So don't be afraid. There's ways of like checking your credit, increasing your score so you get a better pricing, right? And also, like with one of our buyers right now, they thought they need 20% down, and after they talked to Mike's team, they decided, hey, we're gonna actually go with the 5% down because that actually makes more sense for us right now.
Yeah, there's a couple of points to that, right? So the industry is always risk-based, but right now it's just a heavier risk. You're even seeing higher rates, right? So it goes hand in hand. So absolutely make sure that you get yourself in a position to get the best rate by being, quote unquote, the least risky type of borrower. And yeah, that's a huge piece too, is there's a lot of misconceptions that people think you need 20. I've even heard my niece said 30% down. Now, it's great that if you've been budgeting for that, right? But there's a lot of ways to put as little as 3.5% down. Now, in the example of like your client, right? They had the money, they were ready to put 20% down. We just showed them an option and said, hey, if you take the other 15% and put it into the renovations you were going to wait to do down the road, they're going to increase your value. You can do your renovations now, and we'll come back and we'll reassess the value of the home. So not only are you using your money not to give to the bank, you're putting it in your home, but we have a relationship. We're going to come back and get that property adjusted so you don't have mortgage insurance. That's usually why people think they have to put that much money down.
Yeah, so we kind of arrived on our next due, right? Like instead of focusing on the purchase price, I think one of the recommendations I would have, focus on your monthly payment, not on the home price. Because there's so many things that you can do to the interior of the house to increase the equity, right? Let's say there's a beautiful home, but it needs a brand new kitchen, right? So instead of putting the 20% down payment, you can buy it with 5% down, increase the appeal of the house by putting a brand new kitchen, and then you can refinance 5 months, 6 months down the road, right? So our next due is like focus on your monthly payment, not on the purchase price.
It really is how you're qualified for a loan too. You're not qualified for a purchase price. You're qualified for a monthly payment. That's why it's a debt to income ratio. It's how much is that monthly payment compared to how much money you make. So that's a huge point, Mike. And we talk about this a lot too. So you can, and we'll get into some of these other towns and what the property taxes are like, but you can buy a home for $200,000 or whatever that number is in one town.
Let's go 400,000.
Okay. So yeah, your average deal is like, say what, 6?
Yeah.
Right? So 6, 7. If you buy a $600,000 house in one town and a $600,000 house in another town, your payment could be $500 different.
Correct.
Because the amount of money you're paying for the home is spread over, let's just say, for example, a 30-year payment, 360 months. But the property taxes are only going to be split over 12 months. So if one tax rate is much higher, you might be in for a little bit of a shock.
And there's some towns that offer some incentives too, right? And there's some different deductions, like your homeowner exemption, senior exemption, like disabled veteran exemption, right? I just had a client recently that if they decided to buy a home in DuPage County because they didn't want to pay the Cook County taxes, right? So I think there's a lot of things that come into play, but always focus on the payment. And before you make an offer, I usually send you a calculation on a simple Excel spreadsheet showing what the monthly payment would be with the 5%, 10%, 20% down, so you can look at different payment options. Life is about options, right? And having an open mind and selecting what's right for the client and selecting the right home for you, right?
And you're saying a lot of stuff that, you know, I agree with, and it's like selecting the right person to have this conversation with. First and foremost, have it with a professional, right? Like get into the conversation. It's not a scary one, but you can help me as a lender, I can help you navigate with down payment and that, and find out where your thresholds are of approval. And then Mike, as the realtor, can say, hey, you know, you don't want to spend or don't qualify, whatever the case may be, in most of this town, but there's an unincorporated section. The taxes are much lower. Holy cow, we might have just freed up $500-600 a month. So there's ways to navigate and to get into maybe an area you thought was maybe unreachable at this point. And maybe you're like, we don't like any of these houses because they need renovations and we only have X amount of dollars. Well, if you don't put on that down payment, now you might be opening up some inventory that you'd be interested in because you have money to make it your own. And
part of our relocation guide at the end in the discount section, you're gonna find referrals for different construction companies, right? So if we can save you a little bit of money on transitioning into a new home, if you need a new kitchen, you need to paint walls, or hey, there's like an old furnace or water heater, you have discounts here available to make the transition a little bit easier.
How long have you been doing this?
16 years now.
Okay. 16 years, 22 years. Point is we meet a lot of people, and not that you don't have contacts, but it's really nice to have more than one painter, more than one electrician. People get busy, stuff like that. But point is, these are trusted resources. It should make you feel more comfortable in the home buying process. And we're not looking to have a one-time transaction, right? I mean, the ideal thing is not even to be corny. It's like, hey, I'd love to, you know, do the loan, and Mike would love to sell the home to your future grandson. You know, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. So this book isn't just a bunch of paper or online, you know, ad. It is a collection of relationships that have been established so that
and
you
vetted over the years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's supposed to make, I mean, we say home ownership should be fun. And sometimes it can be daunting. So we want people to get out there. We want people to transact. We want people to progress and get to that next house. And this is going to really make you guys feel more comfortable. So make sure that you're signing up, you're subscribing to the channel, and we'll get this out to you.
Yeah, so since we're talking about do's and don'ts for first-time home buyers trying to relocate to suburbs, right? I think we just kind of ride on the next don't, right? Yeah. With inventory being a little low right now, my don't is don't be too fixed on your initial requirements or about the areas where you want to live, correct?
Yeah, you can't be rigid on everything. Maybe you say this is the only area, but then you have to be receptive to different types of properties that might fit your needs.
So there might be some adjacent suburbs that would fit your needs as well, but you're gonna get a little bit of bang for your dollar, right?
More bang?
More bang for your dollar, right? And we see sometimes people overvalue homes based on the school ratings, right? I think school ratings, I'm a parent, right? Those are super, super important. But if I can show you an adjacent suburb that the homes might be $50,000, $60,000 cheaper, and you can get a home that you really wanted versus settling for a house that doesn't meet all the requirements, right? I think you're better off having a little bit of flexibility with your initial requirements.
Absolutely. And you gotta, at this point, I think people always need to be maybe a little bit more creative, but there's ways that, again, good realtor and lender relationships are going to open up opportunity for you. Are you receptive to having a multi-unit property where other people would be paying you rent and living in the building, right?
Either like location, having a roommate, or we talked about renovations, right? We've seen that some homes that people don't consider move-in ready are sitting on the market for a lot longer these days, and then you can actually negotiate a lot better price, right? So I know when I bought my home, we did complete gut renovation. It might be not in your plans, right? But there could be a couple little facelifts or changes to the house to make it more livable and build that equity right away.
Yeah. And again, these conversations are so valuable. I can go example after example, but guidelines change, availability to programs change. We just did a loan for a gentleman who's a veteran and his daughter. So at one point, that wouldn't have been possible. If it's a veteran and a spouse, sure. But they're allowing family members and veterans who are not married
VA benefits.
Yeah, to use those VA benefits. And so it's just a big point because the baby boomers, a lot of them are veterans. And even the older generation that are still kicking around, still able to buy real estate. And some people are going, instead of assisted living, they're having the parents move back in again. Right? Yeah. So like you can utilize the benefits that people have earned from service to our country and still have a zero down payment requirement, no mortgage insurance. So have conversations about what is possible, not just being rigid on what you think you want to do.
So since we talked a little bit about parents, right, or living with parents, our next do, right, we're both we have school-aged children, right? Our next big do, like if you're looking to relocate to suburbs, we can show you so many different neighborhoods, but I think it's important for you, if you're a school or you have school-aged kids, to do a little bit of research about the schools, right? Yeah. Not only you're gonna go online and niche.com, greatschools.org, check all the ratings, but those change all the time. Even, we record a neighborhood and 2 weeks later, the rating already changed, right? You're gonna, if you're looking in the relocation guide, you're gonna see all the links and the ratings and the grades for different schools in here. But I'll recommend that you actually drive out to the school and meet with the principal, interviewed some teachers, and a lot of schools, like my children's school, they do tours for parents, right?
I think most do, right?
Right, so you'd go out and visit the school, see if you feel your children will feel safe there. You meet some of the students, you see what the cultures, and I actually recommend to go attend some of the school functions. Like if there's, a football game or a volleyball game, you can maybe meet some parents, right?
Or theater, like whatever your flavor is.
Yeah, go and meet some of the parents, have those conversations so you know exactly what you're buying, what neighborhood you're buying in, right? And where your kids are gonna go to school.
Hey, I don't wanna make any big time commitments, but again, for those of you that are coming from another state here and might not have that access, maybe we can do some of that heavy lifting. Maybe that's an initiative that will add additionally and go in and maybe interview some of these principals maybe walk around and get a tour and
or send our kids for a couple hours, see if
that's
they
what
like
I
it
meant.
there.
We're gonna put a body cam on them, and then we'll just talk in their ear like those shows. All right, left. All right, now check out the cafeteria.
Yeah, but I think it's really important if not only checking out the online ratings, but actually going to those schools and reach out to me. I have clients that live in many different suburbs, right?
Yes.
And their kids either are in the school or went through that school, so maybe I can introduce you to a couple of the parents that give you a first-hand experience.
There's no better way to meet people than obviously a introduction, a warm introduction.
Yeah, and I think the first-hand experience of going to school is so much better than just clicking on online ratings.
True. Now, when you do find the home, right? Are we going into don'ts?
Yeah, let's talk about some don'ts, right?
So I think it's crucial, right, to remain calm and don't freak out but the way to do that is to have the right professionals around you. So again, in the relocation guide, or again, asking us, great referral partners for the likes of home inspectors. Yeah. So when you have a good home inspector, I mean, it can mean the difference of being really happy and understanding what needs to be done and saying, wow, we love this one, but we've got to pass.
Yeah, so we're saying do a home inspection, but don't freak out about the results of the home inspection, because I never sold a perfect home. Even brand new construction places might have a couple things that are off or incorrectly done. And I'm just here to guide you through the process and show you how we can easily fix that. And I think in my eyes, there's nothing worse than having maybe like an overprotective parent, right?
Yeah.
That would not go on showings with you, but as soon as you get under contract, they will arrive at the inspection and it will start like negating everything that you've seen over the last 2, 3, 4, 6 months to warn you about buying a home, and that will scare you away from buying a good property. In current low inventory market, when you cancel one contract, you go visit 5 other homes, you might see that they have the same issues as the home that you were under contract for.
Yeah, and I think it's important to clarify too, a home inspector's job is to identify anything and everything that you might want to be aware of. It's not saying, here's a crack, we really should be concerned about this. It's, here's a crack.
Yes.
Now, this might be because of whatever, but he's not making a judgment to say it's a bad house. It's just there to inspect it. And honestly, where I was going with the two in the beginning was, it's important to get a good inspector. You want someone identifying every little crack in that, but again, don't freak out. As you said, even you've sold brand new houses that aren't perfect.
I sold a brand new house that had 50 items on inspection report, and it was just inspected by the village there prior, right? But on the inspection report, you want to talk to the inspector, you want to ask him a lot of questions, you want to consult with a couple of construction professionals, right? During our buyer strategy session, I'll actually show you a couple of the previous inspection reports so you can familiarize yourself with things that usually come up, like loose toilets, like not enough insulation in the attic, right? Or sometimes there's mold in the attic because the vent from the bathroom is not properly vented outside. So we've been through those transactions together. We know how to overcome those issues. We know how to get it fixed. We know some estimates, how much it could cost to get that adjusted, right? So I don't want you to pass up on a really nice home in a great location because there was a couple items found on an inspection report that we can easily fix.
So why don't we do like a quick hit list right there? So let's back up. When inspection items are found, that doesn't mean like, here, take it or leave it, right? Now we're going back. There's a period in the contract specifically stated, right, for inspection, attorney review period, to say if I've identified any of these pieces of the home that I wasn't aware of at the time I signed that contract, we have an opportunity to have another conversation or negotiation for a reduction in the price, or to require that seller to fix whatever it is that was found, or both of you walk away. So the inspection is another opportunity to make sure you've made the right choice and that you understand whatever cost might be in front of you and either accept that, negotiate, or go on to the next one. So don't bypass the inspection.
Yeah, and I think you just recently sold a property, so you went through this process. I think it's also very, very important to have a good communication with the buyer side or the seller side, right? And kind of
every side.
Yeah, every side, but explain what's happening, why, like, this is important to you. Actually, I was just going through this today in the morning. the attorneys were sending letters between each other about inspection items, and the seller English wasn't their first language, and they were having like mixed feelings about what was included in the letter because they couldn't understand a lot of the stuff. So having a conversation with them, I was able to explain, hey, this is a first-time home buyer situation. This is why they're worried about this, and we were able to bridge the gap and make the transaction, sign off on attorney approval period, and move forward, right? So always one of the do's, have great communication.
Yeah, in anything. I think the inspiration for this guide and even this, this video, just to communicate with people that they can be comfortable with access to information, because you said it, Mike, most people either argue or don't end up doing something because they don't understand completely what it is that they're trying to do or what's happening in that transaction. Right. So we're here to answer questions and try to alleviate stress so that you can go and make that homeownership journey and dream a reality. So again, remind us if there's anything that's not in here, and remind us if you liked what was in here too. I think it's pretty fantastic. So that moves us right into the next do.
Right. So I think you have to hire a good team to have a good team behind you, right? So it's not only a good real estate agent, good lender, good home inspector, good appraiser, good construction professional, right? But interview some of those people that you're going to be working with, right? Sometimes I meet with buyers for first-time consultations and strategy sessions, and they were working with a different agent, and they never went through how a contract would look like, or how negotiations would look like, or the agent never explained to them current inventory levels, current negotiations, sold price to asking price ratios, right? So they were going in, writing offers blind, and then getting rejected, and they didn't know how to improve that, right?
There's a very big difference of trying to go buy a vehicle from an owner directly, right? And going into a dealership. There's also a big difference in going to a used car lot and going into, let's say, Lexus, right? You're going to have a different interaction. One's going to have auxiliary products available, some free services, which are like a bunch of good information, maybe a massage. We're not giving out massages, but there's a difference on who you select. And so all the things that Mike just stated are normal in his day-to-day, but that is not the normal day-to-day in everybody's presentation as a realtor. So yeah, make sure that your realtor is out there doing some things, something of the like this, right? To educate consumers and put them at ease.
Or have you ever heard about somebody using a part-time doctor or an attorney that drives a ride share at night, right?
No.
But there's some agents that are, newer in the business and they drive for Uber at night, or they're like work in a restaurant. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you want to buy a home, right, you deserve great representation. You should talk to your agent to see what their sales statistics were, how many homes they purchased with buyers over the last 12 months, 24 months, if they have a different part-time gig, right? Yeah. I have nothing against part-time people, but sometimes in this, especially today in the current market when inventory is low, like what if they're at work, right? Or they're doing something else and there's a home that just came on the market and they missed it and you didn't get to see it and property went under contract already, right? So there's a lot of information that you should interview with your agent and make sure that you guys can work well together.
I mean, support your local friends and realtors if you want, but understand that just to that point, if you're not in a big rush, and you just want to see them succeed, then sure. But if you're looking to succeed, just put yourself in a position to do that. So make sure you're considering the source that is representing you.
Yeah, and like having knowledgeable team behind you, right? Or not having it could cost you thousands of dollars, right? Yeah. So you having somebody knowledgeable to explain you things is going to make your transaction a little bit easier, smoother. You're going to feel more secure about what you're doing, and you're not going to be going into some of the situations blind or not knowing how to overcome it. I've seen a lot of agents like, oh, I don't do with inspection items. I let the attorney handle it. I'm like, not the greatest thing, not the greatest approach to that, because sometimes the attorneys will just cancel the transaction because they cannot find an agreement. And if you don't have great communication with the listing agent, you might, give up on a good home.
Everyone's got their role in the transaction. The attorneys are very good at making sure that everybody is legally protected, right? Like that is the purpose of having an attorney and somebody who's giving you legal counsel. They just might not be the ones to be so eager to have a good conversation with your seller and figure out a plan to make the deal happen.
Correct.
Most people, not most, some people Some professionals will focus on the problems. Other people see a list of items that we have to talk about and overcome. Yeah. This is what it is.
So have a solution-based team behind you.
That's right.
So I think we just kind of arrived at the last don't for today's video. We don't want you to forget about your future and your future plans.
That's right. That's right. And this is the good thing too. Some people think it's once I buy this house, I'm there forever. I mean, we can help you get in and out of real estate quickly. Obviously, if you can afford it, buy into a home that maybe you can grow into. But also know that if you can only afford one type of property today, that's not the end. You know, you don't have to delay home ownership because you can't get the perfect home. Because these homes, especially when you have a good agent and you are planning correctly, they're going to have appreciation, right?
So you want to focus on areas that have some up and coming or potential increase in values, right? The Chicago Bears are just moving here to Arlington Heights. A lot of homeowners are super excited because they feel their property values might go up, right? So we see that issue sometimes with buyers where either they set the incorrect budget, right? Or they go for too big of a house, or they go for too little of a house,
or they don't buy.
Right? So to me, like, you always think about, hey, what's our future if we're going to have 2 kids, 3 kids, right? Like maybe you want to buy a bigger home to start with, so then you avoid one of the transactions and moving cycles, right? And you live in the property for a little bit longer, and you get to pay down the mortgage a little bit quicker because you didn't have that transaction after 4 years. You didn't have to move up to a bigger home.
I can only use what we did as an example initially, but every house that I bought, like originally was, this is my house forever kind of idea.
Yeah.
We renovated it, lived in it the way that we wanted it. And leaving that home, we just didn't sell it and rented that and then did that with another. And so, you know, life happens quickly, but I would say just make sure you got the right people around you, confident in what you're doing, and get out there and buy a house.
So sometimes forever home means 7 years.
Yeah, forever is for just for now.
Yeah,
you know?
Forever might mean 5 to 6 years, you know? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, we want to give you a little bit of benefit, a little bit of advantage, right? Check out the 2024 relocation guide. Click the link below. You're going to receive this document right away. There's about 120 pages of just information about local neighborhoods, discount sections, ratings, anything that you might want to do research. Everything is here. You're going to find links to our other videos, right? If you want to check out the video about Arlington Heights or about different high schools in the area or different suburbs, don't be afraid. Click the link above. Check out another video. We're always here to answer any of your questions. This today was just about do's and don'ts, right? It's probably a lot longer conversation. We would love to invite you to sit down in person and show you a buyer strategy session to kind of set you on the right path moving forward.
Absolutely. And I'm one that's got ADD for sure. So I'm like online and I'm looking at the, I'm going through all the data. What was awesome though is we have our videos integrated in there that also cover the same data. So whether you're someone that wants to read through it, you're very analytical, that information's there. If you want to kind of live with us through those videos, that information is there. The things we've spoke about in the podcast today about like having good representation, we represent that part. But good towns are those that we're featuring. So those have good appreciation, they have good school ratings. Follow us in that journey. Make sure that you don't keep us a secret and that you tell your friends and family to also
subscribe to our channel. Take a look at another video. We deeply appreciate your support, right? And if you let us know about a community you're curious about and you don't see it on our channel, let us know. We're gonna, as soon as the weather gets a little bit better, we're gonna be out there again doing location-based videos. So let us know what video you would like to see next.
Last piece, if they have a business, right? If anybody out there has a business and it has anything to do with home ownership or the support of real estate, let us know. We'd love to get you involved and put you in the relocation
Even
guide.
if you have like a great restaurant or a great preschool or kindergarten, right?
Yeah,
we want to promote local businesses. This is the goal behind this show, to bring amazing people to the suburbs, right? They can be benefit from the community around them, but also bring something to the community back, right? So if you're a local restaurant owner or you have, I don't know, car repair place, you want to partner up, we do great videos. I know a lot of business owners struggle with the video portion. We'll come out to your location, we'll do that video for you. We'll feature you today in an amazing co-working space here in Arlington Heights. We want to promote that space too.
Bigger, better, more beautiful through collaboration. Get some good people involved and we'll see what happens. So stay tuned.
Talk to you soon.